Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to design and create these makeup palette gift card holders that take giving gift cards to friends and family to the next level. This will be part 1 of part 2, so be sure to check out part 2 on the assembly of these palettes. Before we get started, I want to mention that this does require an intermediate to advanced skill level and knowledge of how to use Cricut Design Space, but if you stay with me and follow all the way through without skipping, there is no reason you cannot succeed on creating these. Please be sure to subscribe, like this video, and share with a friend, as it really does help keep my channel running. To get started, this tutorial does use my makeup palette template that you can find by clicking on the link to my Etsy shop in the description below. You can choose between 3 different palette template colors, and the file is 95% of the way designed for you, except for the branding on the front of the palette, as this allows you to customize the front of the palette with your favorite brands, which I will walk you through in real time thoroughly how to add your own backgrounds and logos in this video. So the first thing that we're going to do is upload the SVG labeled Step 1 Top Box SVG only. And this is going to be the front of our palette or the packaging of our palette. So in order to find that, we're going to go into Step 1 Top Box SVG only. Click it and open it in Design Space. And then once we get it into Design Space, we're going to leave the color of the box as is so that it will match the Step 2 and the bottom of the box design with the eyeshadow colors. So when we put them together in the assembly video, both colors that we print will match up. So we're just going to save and open the SVG into the canvas. So once we're in the canvas, we're going to select the entire Step 1 top box layer and hit ungroup at the top of the layers panel. Next, we're going to find the layer with the score lines, and if it's not already, move that to the top of the layers panel, and we're going to select it, and then under line type up here on the toolbar, we're going to change this from cut to score. Now we will go into Google and we'll find a patterned background that you'd like to use, or you can open up the folder labeled elements and upload the background that I have already created for you if you would like to use the exact pattern that I used. If you choose to use your own background, I suggest not using anything with graphics or shapes or photos, as they will distort when we change the size. So simple things like glitter, etc. are great if you're not already going to use the background that I have created for you. So after, you will stay on Google and you'll find the brand's logo that you'd like to use. So for example, what you'll type in the search bar is the brand name, logo, and then PNG. And we need it to say PNG because we need a PNG file, because we need this transparent layer. And you'll know that it's a transparent layer if it has this checkered background. So you're just going to download and save that to your computer. So the next thing that we need to do is upload the background and the logo into Design Space that you just saved. Now for this example, I'm just going to upload the background that I already have designed for you in the Elements folder. So you're going to go ahead and open that, and then you'll be prompted to this screen here. And whether you use the background that I have created or you choose your own background, you're going to hit Complex, Continue, Continue again, And you don't want to select this box. We want to select this box that says save as a print then cut image. So after both your logo and your background are added to the canvas, we will move both of those layers above the other layers if they're not already. Anytime that we work on a layer, that layer will be shown at the top because that's the most recent layer that we have been working on. So that will be shown out in front. So anytime that we need something to be shown on top of another layer, it needs to be the very first layer. So now we need to resize our background, and we can do that by coming up to the toolbar to this lock and unlocking it, because that's going to allow us to change the ratio to any width and any height. So using your keyboard, you're going to type in 5.9 width by 3 inches height. And then we're going to overlay that within these score lines at the bottom of the rectangle, this rectangular shape panel. And this has, it's hard to see, but this shape has double score lines. So we need to be sure that we don't cover those up with this background layer. The background should fit perfectly in between these score lines. Since the score lines are black and hard to see, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off this shape layer so I can see the score lines. And I'm just going to get this background to fit perfectly within those score lines, and then turn my shape layer back on. So now moving on to the logo. If you have a black or white template, you're probably going to want to change the color of your logo to coordinate with your background so that you can see it. So since I have a black file and a black logo, I need to change the color of this logo to white. So in order to do this, we're going to select the logo, and then we're going to come up to the toolbar under fill, and right now it says print, so we need to change that to no fill, and then come over here to our color palette and click it, and then I'll select white. But if you don't see a color that you like here, there's more color options if you hit advanced, and you can change it to any color that you'd like. But I'm just going to stay with white for now. However, as you can see, doing this changed it to a cut file, and we need to change it back to a print file. So then we're going to come back up to fill, select it, and hit print. And that changed it back to a print then cut layer. So now we just need to resize the logo to our liking, however big or small that you want it. Next, we need to flip the logo and the background upside down, because right now they are facing upright, but when we glue the top and the bottom of the palette together, they will need to be facing the opposite direction towards the opening of the palette. Right now they are facing backwards, and they're facing the hinge of the palette. So to do this, we'll select the logo and the background layer, and we'll move to the toolbar, and we'll find rotate, and then using your keyboard, we're going to type in 180, and that's going to flip it for us. And in order to select more than one layer, you're going to click on your first layer, hold down Shift on your keyboard, and then click on your second layer. So now that this is resized and flipped, we want to be sure that everything is centered. So we're going to use our cursor to click at the top of the corner of all of the layers, and then while holding down and dragging a square right on top of all of the layers, and that's going to select all of the layers for us. Now that everything is selected, we're going to move to the toolbar and find Align. Then we're going to hit the drop down arrow and select Center Horizontally. So now that everything is placed down where we need it, we need to take this file from a cut file to a print and cut file. Some of the layers are already print and cut, but some of them are still cut. So before we do anything, the score lines most likely have moved all the way under all the other layers. So that happened because we haven't worked on the score layer in a while. So as I mentioned before, the most recent layers that we've worked on get bumped to the top. So we're going to select the score layer and move that to the very top, because we don't want this score layer to get lost and flattened in between all of these other layers in the next step, because we want these to stay score layers. Now you're going to select your logo, the background layer, and the shape layer. And again, to do that, you can hold down Shift on your keyboard, and click all of the other layers. Now your layers should be in this order. It should go the logo first, the background second, and the cut or the shape layer last. And now we're going to move to the bottom of the layers panel and hit flatten so that we can tell Design Space to make all 3 of these layers flat and as one actionable print layer. And sometimes Design Space is a little bit finicky with the order that you select the layers. So it needs to be the logo, then the background, then the shape layer. But sometimes if you don't select the layers the right way, it won't flatten correctly. So if that happens, just start from the bottom. So click the first or the bottom layer, then hold down Shift, then click upwards and hit flatten. And I do want to mention that if you forget to select one of these layers, so say you forget to select this logo layer, Cricut will try to cut out the logo and not print it, and we don't want that. So you need to make sure that you are selecting all 3 layers, the logo, the background, and this shape layer. So Cricut will once again move the score lines down underneath our flattened layer, since this was the most recent layer that we worked on. So we need to move these score lines back up and on top so that they're out in front, because right now they're hidden. So we need to bring them back up so that they're back out in front. Now to keep all of this as print, score, and then cut as one action, and to keep them all on the same mat, we need to select the score lines and select our flatten layer. And then at the bottom of the layers panel, we need to hit attach so that we can tell Cricut to link both of these layers together and keep them as one action and on one mat. So after we do that, then we'll hit make it, and we can check to make sure that these actions are correct over here in this dialog panel. So print first, score next, cut last, and it's going to keep it all on one mat, which is what we need. After, you're just going to click continue, and then you're going to send it to your printer. You're going to load your print onto your mat, load your scoring wheel or your scoring stylus into your Cricut, and then you'll hit edit tools and select either the scoring wheel or the scoring stylus and cut as normal. So this next part is a bit easier because the other pieces step 2, the bottom of the box, and step 3, the envelope, mirror, and sleeve, are not only already designed for you, but they are saved as PDFs that already have the print then cut capability with the registration lines that Cricut needs. And I did that this way because those ones are such complex designs of the box that Cricut doesn't know how to read it. And if I would walk you through on how to design this portion, it would not only be super time consuming, but confusing as well. So with that being said, you're going to jump out of Design Space and into this Files folder, and you're going to open up step 2, bottom of the box, print only, and step 3, the envelope, mirror, and sleeve, print only. And you're going to double click and open up the PDFs. And then you're just going to print this as normal as an 8.5 by 11 inch white 65-pound cardstock. So once you print this, you're going to go back to your file, and you're going to also open up step 3, the envelope, mirror, and sleeve, and print that as well, and then set them aside, and we're going to go back into Design Space. So now that we're back into Design Space, we're going to open up the master file labeled Palette Box SVG, and that's going to be housed in the step 4 folder. And then we're going to save that and open it within the canvas. And here's what it looks like. So we're going to work layer by layer or shape by shape. So we're going to turn off all of the other layers so that we won't be working on for now. And we can do this by using this little eyeball feature over here on the side of the layers panel. So for now, we're going to be working on, this is step 2 and this is step 3. So let's just work on step 2 for now and turn off step 3. So the next thing that we need to do is select the file and go to Ungroup. And then we need to find the score lines. And at the top of the toolbar, we need to come over here to line type. And we need to change this from cut to score. Next, for the shape layer, we're going to select it and come up to the top of the toolbar. And under fill, we're going to change this from no fill to print. Then once both are changed, we are going to select both layers either by dragging a square over top of them or clicking, holding down Shift and clicking the next layer. And then at the bottom of the layers panel, coming down here and hitting attached so that we can link those two layers together and tell Cricut that we need this to be one actionable layer on one mat. So there is no designing work for this part because this part is already done for you on that pre-made PDF that you should have printed and have set aside for this next part. So we'll go ahead and continue and check our dialog box. And here we go. So it should be in this order: print, then score, then cut, and we're going to hit continue. Now, unlike the last part for part 1 of the top of the palette box, we need to tell Cricut that we've already printed, because you should already have those printed, the pre-made PDFs printed, step 1, step 2, and step 3, and have them set aside and ready to go. So we need to tell Cricut that we have already completed this step. So we're going to go ahead and say, I've already printed. And next we're going to select medium cardstock, edit tools, and you're either going to select scoring wheel or scoring stylus. I always use the scoring stylus, so that's what I'm going to select, and hit apply. And then you're going to go ahead and load your printed PDF onto your mat, load it into your machine, load your scoring stylus or your scoring wheel, and then go ahead and print go. And Cricut will proceed as normal to read the registration lines, score, and then cut. So after this portion is complete, we're going to go back to our canvas, and now we're going to turn off this layer, our step 2, and turn our step 3 layer back on. So next is our step 3 layer, which is our mirror envelope and our mirror sleeve. And we're going to repeat the same exact steps, since this one is also done for you the same way. The only difference with this one is that there will be no score lines. We just need to change these from cut to print/cut. So in order to do that, I'm just going to drag a square over top to select them both. I'm going to come up to the toolbar to fill, change it from no fill to print, and then I'm going to come down, because they're both already selected, come down to the layers panel and hit attach. Then I'm going to hit make it, check our dialog box. There's going to be no scoring for this one. It's going to print first and then cut. Hit continue. And then we're going to tell Cricut that we've already printed this, because again, this is already designed for you in that step 3 folder, and you're just going to have that PDF printed and set aside until now. So I've already printed. Select medium cardstock. We don't need to edit the tools this time because there's no scoring, and you're just going to load that printed PDF onto your mat, into your machine, and hit go. So I hope this video was helpful and you have fun creating these makeup palette gift card holders for some awesome friends and family this holiday. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments below so that I can answer you. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share this video with a friend who you think may enjoy this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.